seen were quite bullish because we had top gainers, and definitely the all-share index moved up by 1.29 points, meaning there was a slight improvement in performance compared with the previous trading day. And MTN led the gainers, and we would like to break down a little bit more about MTN stock and how it has been performing recently. MTN is the youngest company so far to list on the main board of the securities exchange here in Uganda, and it got listed last year in the month of December on the 6th. And since listing, the company has been able to lose some value at some point, especially at the beginning of its listing. And it lost about, we think that it has lost about from 200 shillings, that was during its initial public offer, to right now 188 shillings overall since its initial public offer. However, when you look at their year-to-date performance, the company has already lost about 3.55%, as it began the year with a price of 194.99 Ugandan shillings on the stock market, opening on the 1st of January within the year 2022. Having lost this, it is ranked the 6th in terms of year-to-date performance on the Uganda Securities Exchange. However, what we should note is that the company yesterday gained some value at about 188.06 Ugandan shillings closing price, after having gained 3.9% on that day of trading, because the previous day it ended with about 181 and went up to 188 yesterday. The company is the third most traded stock, and this is also another very, very important aspect you have to look at when you're evaluating companies here on the stock exchange. A company might be a very good maybe performer in terms of year to date, a very good performer in the daily gains. You know, it might have a very good price, but how active is the company on the stock market? What activity have you witnessed within the last 3 months? And this is usually what we look at, because a 3 month period represents a fair number of weeks, close to about 12 weeks. And so we see that this is a good way to actually see how we should look at the stock of a particular company. MTN comes in the 3rd place, much as it's one of the youngest, but still one of the most active. 3rd place in terms of the most traded stock. Now, over the past 3 months, from the 17th of June to the 15th of September, the company has sold out about 14.2 million shares on the stock market, and these are valued at 2.68 billion Ugandan shillings over this period, with an average of about 225,145 shares, which is one of the biggest average volumes that are traded per day. And the close competitor in terms of volumes or daily trading volume is actually Stanbic Bank, who comes very close to MTN Uganda. Now, a volume high of over 2.28 million shares was achieved within this period on the 22nd of August. On this particular day, they had over 2.28 million shares trade, and this is the highest within the last 3 months since the 17th of June. The company details show that during the last 10 days of trading, the company has traded on the 15th, yesterday. It traded on the 14th, on the 13th, on the 12th, and then on the 9th, on the 8th, on the 7th. Literally speaking, it's been trading on every single trading day within the last 2-3 weeks of trading. Yeah, meaning people are interested in the stock, and this is one very good performance indicator whenever people are more interested in the stock. Even if the stock is doing bad or is not actually trading much or is not having much movements in price, But so long as we see activity and enthusiasm on the stock market, it means people still believe in the company, people still want to buy more shares in the company, and those that are in there are also seeing that they're gaining some value from the company, and so that's why they keep on selling and sometimes even buying more of the stock for that particular company. That is MTN Uganda for you. Currently, MTN has 22.4 billion shares that are valued at 4.08 trillion. This is the market capitalization of MTN Uganda, and it is the second most valuable on the stock market of the Uganda Securities Exchange. Moving on to Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank yesterday was the second top mover. And for starters, when we talk about movers, we are literally talking of people who have sold the biggest volume of shares. Stanbic came in the second place in this case. However, Stanbic has been one of the most traded stocks and is currently the second most traded on stocks in the Uganda Securities Exchange, after having traded from the 17th of June, that is exactly 3 months ago. It has traded a total volume within this period of 24.4 million shares on the stock market, valued at exactly 513 million over this period. They have an average of about 387,882 shares that are traded per trading session within the last 3 months, and a volume high of about 10.2 million shares on the stock market. And they had a total of about 10.2 million shares as a peak that was sold out on the 8th of August within this period, which was their biggest volume so far on a single trading day on the Uganda Securities Exchange, meaning Stanbic also stands amongst the top movers, but also amongst the most traded on stock. But notably, Stanbic has a very affordable stock also, one of the most affordable stocks on the Uganda Securities Exchange. The stock at Stanbic costs only 20 Ugandan shillings, meaning with 100 shillings, that is Chikumi, you can buy 5 shares. Wow, that's beautiful. If you can buy 5 shares at 100, it means at 1,000, you can actually buy 50 shares. And then when you have 2,000, you have 100 shares. Very cheap stock. And this is the mindset I want to at least be able to impart amongst our viewers here. You don't need millions of money to invest in the stock market. You don't need to be a billionaire, a millionaire. Matter of fact, you don't even need to have hundreds of thousands of money, of shillings. You can start with as little as 10,000, that's 15,000. You know, the way you save, for example, to buy a dress, it is not also bad for you to save to buy some stock on some affordable companies. You know, we have companies like National Insurance Corporation that have very low stock prices, like 5 shillings. And we don't know where these prices could go within the next 3 or 5 years or within 1 year to come. So buy yourself some stock. There is somebody who was sharing about Stanbic Bank, and they say that the companies or people actually get money. Yes, people they struggle a lot every single day to make money. People go out there, they do businesses, they go to work their paychecks, their pay jobs, and so many other things to get the money. And it's not easy to get money because there is nothing for nothing, right? And so if it is so hard to get that money, you don't want to lose it just like that. And how do we lose money? Usually we lose money through expenses. Expenses such as going out to shop, groceries, expenses such as transport, and so many. Of course, some of these or most of these are necessary expenses. However, even on our savings, there's that money we always put aside to save. But the moment we have probably something that we need, or we feel like buying something maybe in the grocery store, we still go into those savings because they are first, they're very accessible. You know, you're keeping them under your pillow. or you're keeping them with a friend who you literally walk with every single day. So you can easily pick them and go out to the grocery store and get whatsoever you want. That's also another branch of expenditure or expenses. Then you move to the people who actually get to do businesses, and they have a cash inflow, and this cash comes in, of course, from the interest they get maybe on the loans given to people for money lenders, maybe that profit you make off your shopkeeping job, and so on and so forth. But still, you might find this money being spent without much caution. So what is the best way to overcome this cycle of just earning the money and spending it all at once? The one thing you can actually do is investing. And this investment is easy or made easier on the stock market because you're buying stock or shares from companies that have been approved, that these companies will actually get money and be able to add value to your money. And you're not just going to lose this money in a single day. Of course, like I said, there are risks involved because share prices keep changing depending on the kind of situation around the economy, and also so many other factors, the inflation. But you will not find that you will go back to zero, or at least on the stock market. It's hard for the share price of a company to go to zero, meaning to wipe out all the value for their shareholders. It's almost close to impossible. But when you look at our businesses, it's very possible for you to start a business and it collapses back to zero without nothing, of course, being gained from the business. So this is one avenue that should motivate you to save, because you're saving with the aim of investing. Some people save to buy assets like land, but still assets can be sold very quickly and you still return the money, So the best way to really save is investing. If you invest this money, you will be somewhat attracted to even saving more money because you have a goal, which is investing in authentic companies that are listed on the exchange. Now, moving on to other companies here, we have Centum. Still, like I said, normally these Nairobi Stock Exchange cross listings usually don't have volumes traded on them, but they have other factors influencing their stock markets, much as they are the top also gainers sometimes or bottom losers. Now, at the end of the day's trading session, we had a total of 942,643 shares that were traded, corresponding to a market value of 120.7 million shillings. Now, compared with the previous day of trading on Wednesday, the data shows a 518% improvement in volume and 310% improvement in the turnover on the market. And the current capitalization of the market is 22 trillion Ugandan shillings. We have other other companies issuing their stock on the exchange that you might need to know. We have British American Tobacco at 15,000. We have Cipla Quality Chemical Industries at 70 shillings, and Centum Investments Company at 310.17, and then KCB at 1,294.49, and then MTN at 188.06, and Nation Insurance Corporation at 5.8 shillings, whereas you have Nation Media Group at 582 shillings, and then Uganda Clays at 17 shillings, and Wumeme Limited at 200 shillings. Those are some of the 18 listed companies on the stock exchange here in Uganda. You can check them out at www.use.org.ug, and you will get more data as well. Now, let's move to Nairobi very shortly and peer into the markets here in our neighboring, of course, Nairobi. And Nairobi Stock Exchange has 65 companies that are listed on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Some of them are domestically, and then some of them are cross-listed from Uganda and Tanzania. mainly. Now, yesterday's trading was actually still pretty much about a decline, witnessed in the index. However, in terms of companies, of course, we had still very many companies. 50 of them participate in the trading of the day, and the day ended with 11 gainers and over 33 losers. Kenya Power and Lighting Company still gained, came out on top in the second or third day actually in a row, after having gained 8.33% on its price there on the Nairobi Stock Exchange, and closed the day with a 2.8 Kenyan shillings per share on the market. It was followed by Flem Tea Group Holdings at 5.74% gain, and then CIC Insurance Group, who also gained 5.47%, and Stanley Fahari, who gained by 3.85%. Those are some of the top gainers amongst the 11 top gainers there on the market. And then on the losing side, we had BK Group. BK Group lost at the end of the trading session 7.62% of their price valuation, closing the day with a market price of 27.9 Ugandan shillings per share. They were followed by Olympia Capital Holdings at a 7.19% decline in price. And then Standard Group at 6.98%, and East African Portland Cement Company, who lost about 6.84% of their value. Safaricom, also the second day in a row. Actually, this week, Safaricom has still been having the biggest volumes, and yesterday it had the highest volume of over 19.5 million shares that were bought or traded on the stock market yesterday. And then Kenya Power and Lighting Company also had 9.07 million shares, as well as KCB Group and NCBA, who had 1.78 and 1.4 million shares trading respectively. There is something about Kenya Power and Lighting Company. Recently, the company is going above the roof, and definitely the stock prices, we have seen them go up several days in a row, and definitely there should be some interest about this company, and you should develop an enthusiasm and probably make more research about Kenya Power and Lighting Company. There could be something in there. But like I said, you must be informed when you're making decisions on the stock exchange. You don't want anyone making decisions for you. You want to make informed decisions after making your personal research and getting to know that, hey, I think this is my company, where I should be buying some stock. Of course, also depending on advice from your investment advisor, from your banking advisor, maybe anyone in charge of finance at your company, and so on and so forth. Now let's look at the performance of the index. The Nairobi Securities Exchange All-Share Index went down slightly by about 4.05 points yesterday, after having lost about 2.93%, and that was to 134.18 points, closing with a one-week loss of 6.85%, and a four-week loss right now they have registered of about 8.6%, an overall year-to-date loss of 19.39%. So generally there was a bearish market, though there was slight declines on the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Now Olympia, we have seen actually Kenya Power and Lighting Company that he came out as a top gainer. Well, this company has been trading very well during the last couple of days, and after gaining about they gained about 8.3% yesterday, closing the day with a price of 2.08 Kenyan shillings. And looking at this, Kenya Power and Lighting Company, however, began the year with a meager 1.75 Kenyan shillings. And since then, they have gained about 18.9% on their stock. And this is in terms of their year-to-date. They are ranked the 8th top company in terms of year-to-date performance out of the 65 listed companies. Shareholders should be optimistic about Kenya Power and Lighting Company, because even within the last 1 month, the company has accrued over 44% on its price valuation. Wow, that's quite something. People who bought this stock much earlier are definitely on their toes right now. But this is the beauty of the stock market. You buy your stock and you don't know when the company will perform well, but you do your things, you don't really mind. And this is one thing I want to actually urge the public. Don't invest in the stock market with the mindset of checking on it every night and, looking at your company and seeing how bad. You're going to get ulcers and stress, because companies definitely lose. Companies definitely lose value. But if you have confidence in this company that it has good managers and the company will still do good, definitely at some point the company will come back up. So whenever companies are doing bad, it is a time to buy. Really, it is a time for you to go out there and get to pick yourself some stock and add value to yourself. Then when you have companies going up, like for example, Kenya Power and Lighting, this is not really a good time to buy from Kenya Power and Lighting Company, much as it is a top performer here, because we don't know where the stock could go from here. Let's take a look at, for example, the last 3 months. The company in the last 3 months has traded about 79.3 million shares. And this, we're looking at about 1.26 million traded shares per session. Still, the company is trading very, very huge volumes on every trading session. Their volume high was about 9.37 million and was achieved on the 12th of September, just a few days ago. And their lowest has been 51,000 in August on the 26th. And when you look at their activity, they have had activity every single day. And even much more recently, they have had even more activity. And the price is also still going up and above. And we've said on a 1 week basis, they have already gained 29%. On the 1 month basis, they have the best performance on the Nairobi Securities Exchange after gaining about 44%. And on months basis, they're still on the gaining side of about 43.5%. And then on the 6 months, they still have a 32.5%. And in terms of year to date, an 18.9%. So this is a company that people who invested much earlier should be jubilating. They should be selling at a much higher price. But right now, it's not a good time to buy, like I can say, because we don't know if the company will keep going up. Or if not, we don't know if the company will actually remain stagnant without adding any more value to its shareholders. But that's the beauty of the stock market. You have ups and downs, and you take advantage of the downs to learn and to buy more, and the ups to actually get to sell some stock. That is it from the Nairobi Stock Exchange. You can buy stock on this exchange through some stock brokers here in Uganda, or you can contact the NSE through their website or via for guidance on the same. We are taking a quick breather, and of course I'll see you later on. The other side, we are going to talk about Zeno Investment Company over the last 5 years. I hosted Madame Sharon Tumushabe, and we talked at length about collective investment schemes or the unit trusts and the Zeno perspective about the critical success factors of the collective investment schemes. Now that they have witnessed a 13% growth even in the second quarter of 2022, from over 1.1 trillion to about 1.3 trillion Ugandan shillings over the years. What are the reasons, and why do we need to get interested in investing in the collective investment scheme? I'll see you next week, same time, same place. And of course, I'll leave you with that interview, and we shall meet when we meet. See you around. Goodbye.